2019. This is Karush Koilu. I am the founder of Zayuk. Zayuk is a property management platform to handle real-world infrastructure management and the financial transactions, the historical context of various forms of property or large-scale infrastructure. That can be real estate, that can be government assets, that can be utilities, and there are a few protocols across those domains that are important and universal: payments, contracts, the fact that these are large system of systems where there are stakeholders that are certified and specialized in maintaining that system, yet managing all of those different stakeholders across all of those systems in that system of system becomes incredibly complicated. And when you bring in things like, a lot of this is not telecommunications based, but some of our more sophisticated customers are looking for those types of innovations, and that becomes a different beast. Our specialty that we speak about often is homeowners associations, yet there's a lot of mechanisms within a homeowner association that are universal: compliance documents, voting, work orders, service requests, various items of that nature. And then when you put the sort of back-end engineering, maybe software architecture, as well as mostly that, then you can feed in the AIs to do more sophisticated things. And that's a really interesting thing that I was speaking about maybe even yesterday or 2 days ago, is how TikTok, it is not as elegant in its UI as, say, some of the other famous reel mechanisms, mostly Instagram. Instagram is very elegant. It's very visually pleasing. I would say the way Facebook went, for me, I was using Facebook up until 2017, went off of it, came back on it around 2025, maybe 2024, and it became a different thing in the way that it's presented, a lot more bubbly, which is kind of the newer UI, but I think it is a really nice and elegant UI. Whereas TikTok is kind of not. But the thing about TikTok is its algorithm is so strong and people really like it. So I like it a lot. I like its algorithm. So although I do use Instagram, I do like to trend towards TikTok as well. And it just goes to show the importance of the structure of your data, the importance of your algorithm, things of that nature. Really excited to talk about Zayuk's knowledge base. It's really, really interesting that, that's working out like that. The way, because knowledge bases are these, a knowledge base is what an AI is referencing when it goes about a task, when it makes a decision, when it computes whatever. And having a well-organized knowledge base is going to give the ability for that AI to make decisions at higher accuracy, which is incredibly important. That's probably the biggest problem, and the reason agents don't work today is that their accuracy is fairly low. I would say a lot of the context protocols that are going into those agents aren't architected well enough for the agent to be like, this is obvious. For us, we had digital threads, and I was speaking to an HOA board member, and he was saying it was too difficult for it was too labor intensive for his HOA manager to input that data. So that's why our first item is a ticket agent, and it's really awesome because it gives us a whole new revenue stream where now, and it's fairly cheap. I mean, one instance of compute cost did 0.7 cents. That's cheap. So if you have, 500 instances of compute across 0.7 cents, $3.5. That's nothing. And I really like how we give you the history of your transactions, and we might be able to do some more sophisticated things as well, like maybe log the recommendations. Maybe our users want that, but that is something that is hugely valuable. I'm really excited to show that to users because I think that's what I talk about when I mention architecture, digital threads, blockchain as a system of record, and even nodes within the blockchain. Like, what do you want to define within your knowledge base, and what do you want to exclude, and how is it that that's all going to fit together? And so that also goes into our digital twin protocols, where granted our agent isn't a visual based agent yet, and it probably won't be for a while, but it's awesome. I'll tell you that. I am really liking AI. I think a lot of incumbents are going to have a lot of problems with AI because they won't have the architecture, at least in HOA. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not to say these companies aren't good at what they do, but setting up an AI for success, not simple. Takes a little bit of elegance. Giving the AI the tools to succeed. Great. And I'm not sure. Continuing to post, I met this person, and I need to actually maybe even shout them out. Maybe we can invite them on to the live stream one day. And I believe he understood the value. I met him in San Francisco, and I believe he really understood the value. San Francisco is when people talk about, and it's the way it's designed. American cities need to be redesigned to empower the citizens. San Francisco was built before the car, and it is one of the few American cities where you can live without a car for a little bit of time. Most American cities, it's nearly impossible, and it's a huge burden. I would say San Francisco probably too, but much more simple. You can walk around, you can run into people. I saw an X post where they said that it wasn't true. They tried to go to like 5 coffee shops and they were all closed. And to be truthful to you, that was not my experience at all when I was there. It was that, it was pretty easy. Maybe you can't just walk up onto one at like 6 or 7 p.m. on a Friday evening, but you can still find one probably within at least 3/10 of a mile. I would hope. I think so. I think you could find one in a coffee shop in San Francisco within 3/10 of a mile, depending on the area you're in. As long as you're in a more commercial rather than um, residential area. But even some residential areas. I'm really happy with the way this agent is modeled, this implementation, because we tried to do an agent and I just couldn't even figure out a way to make it good enough to the point where I would even like to show it to customers. So we eventually just cut it, and that was a little sad, but I think it's worth it, because what I saw over in 2025 was a lot of AI agent overload, like AI overload. And I don't really hit on AI too much because it's not, and I think no offense to any company that has AI in their name. I have no problem with it, but there's more to the story usually than AI. AI is a huge component. It's like the internet. None of the big tech companies we know today, save Apple, could have been what they are without the internet. Amazon, Facebook, Meta, Nvidia, maybe the hardware companies, and Apple, maybe, um, Microsoft, maybe they did it pre-internet, but a lot of the Amazon, Meta, Google, their businesses, their empires were built on the internet. But there's a lot more to the story than the internet. It's the same with AI. There's a lot more to the story than just the model, a lot more to the story. So it's important to understand that the story is not just AI. And I think if you can get that, you can build something that is great. And it was also interesting to hear Palmer Luckey speaking about the Honda Aura. I don't know if I think it's the Honda Aurora. Honda Rune. Okay, Honda Rune. And it was interesting to hear him mention that the just because you couldn't create a good product around a good business around that product doesn't mean it wasn't a good product. It just means you couldn't put a business behind it. And that was a really interesting thing. And I think you see that with a lot of luxury cars. Where and you see these like one-off luxury cars where it's like you can't really create a business around this very great machine, but you can sell it as a one-off or two-off for a high price, and it just exists, and someone paid the price for that to exist. That's kind of like the Honda Rune, I would guess. Whereas other products, it's like, no, people are willing to pay. You're actually able to collect capital, allocate resources, and create a sort of profit for profit mechanism that is structured around this product. Really interesting to hear the dichotomy and to hear someone speak about that. This will be a really interesting way to create connectivity. Okay, so damn. So a woman was sentenced to, I'll read this very soon. Sorry to put my uh emotional weight into that, but that's atrocious. And that's exactly what it's really easy to solve. And we're just going to keep hitting that point. And as we build out these AI type agent protocols that work and have high accuracy and actually provide value at a reasonable cost, we're just going to keep pushing that we still do the basic stuff like decentralized asset balances and transaction logs and creating an AI behind it so it just kind of works on its own. The smart community and understanding AI is super important. So I'm really, really, really happy with it. I'm with this AI agent I created. It's soon going to be more. I really want to get a team behind Zayuk. This isn't something that I want. I want to get a team behind it and really get some other people the opportunity to make some money because I know a lot of good people and could probably hire pretty quickly once we get to that point. People who don't use AI in your IAC is really, you have to be very careful when you do IAC. If you're kind of a novice coder and you want to do something, you almost certainly have to learn infrastructure as code. It's very important to deploy cloud resources and understand it across multiple different clouds, and understanding the purpose of all of these resources as well as the amount of capital that you're going to have to spend on that is really important, because cloud products, I mean, you see it with these AI, a lot of the negative margin AI companies, they spend so much on cloud AI that it bites into their margins. And it seems like a lot of companies are going to be forced to go on prem again for their AI workflows and possibly for some non AI workflows as well. There are about 7 social medias, and I used to have a mechanism where I would try and do a single app to post to all of them, and I've come to the conclusion that you can't do that. There's no way an API is going to replicate. This is what I found. There are too many particularities across these platforms, and their features are becoming so sophisticated and integrated that it's just doesn't make sense. And you want to become good at the platform, that it doesn't make sense to context is king rather than content. You don't want to just have this general mechanism across everything. And sometimes I do that. But for example, the way I structure the same headline across two apps is going to be different. For example, X, if you put 4 images, they're going to be like in these quarter based images. Whereas if you just do 2, then it's going to be 2 images. You can see the whole thing. In LinkedIn, you have to save it as a PDF, and you do it as a PDF, and it's really easy to scroll through. And so I like PDFs more than I like images on LinkedIn because of that instance. And so that's something that you kind of understand. And then also things like articles. So I spoke about this before. If you're going to do an article on your webpage, that's really important, but it's also important to do your articles on the specific platform itself, because that platform is going to drive a lot of traffic into itself, if that makes sense. It's going to, if a LinkedIn article is posted on LinkedIn rather than an X article, most algorithms are incentivized to keep the user in the platform. So post in their protocols and give the user a reason to stay on that platform. And that is how you are going to succeed. I'm not necessarily great at it. I'm learning, and it's very difficult. It's very nuanced. These algorithms are not working against you. I really don't believe that. And anyone who does believe that is probably not going to succeed. But it's interesting how it works out. That's definitely true. And then same with like YouTube posts. I don't even know what last time I used that type of distributor app that actually posts to the platform. They didn't have something like YouTube posts. So even that, like understanding how YouTube is going to structure it and how the user is going to go through it and how it's going to appear just at the thumbnail for the user, and how easy it is for the user to boom, 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 boom. What's interesting is that I saw a video, Gary Vee, saying that companies won't even post like 400 pieces of organic content. And organic content, people hate paid advertisements. When someone sees an advertise, this is my reaction. I almost instantly want to remove it, because I know that you haven't gotten there by the quality of your content. You haven't gotten my attention. And so when I'm scrolling and I see a paid advertisement, I'm much less willing to actually engage with it, because I know that you paid to get my attention. It's not that the algorithm decided your quality content for Karush to consume. You just paid the platform, and the platform has their algorithms to determine how that value mechanism works between me as the consumer and the advertiser. But I still know that you're now getting my attention through paid advertisements the way a commercial would. And I'm not here for a paid advertisement. Some of them are good. Some of them I think are really good. And there's some where I see like this very good story and I engage with it. There's some that are really, really good. I will give you that. But the name of the game is organic content. The name of the game is organic content. So important, so important. And for myself, I've always been super engaged with whatever it may be, whether it was high school football or my fraternity or now with Zayuk, even your job. I some people don't engage with their job very much, and that is not good. You should engage with your job. Your job is a mechanism to gain money, but also gain experience. And sometimes you just through being engaged. I'm just inviting people to my page to use my page to follow Zayuk. Mostly through people that I think would actually care somewhat, or I think would just follow me for the sake of it. Follow the company for the sake of it. All right, everyone, I'm heading out. Nice day today. Got some stuff done. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Might just stay on for a little bit longer, but you might see me drop off pretty soon.